Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. If you've ever wondered why your lights flicker, why your devices keep shutting down, or why you're getting shocked by things you shouldn't be, then you're in the right place. Today, we're diving deep into the most common electrical mistakes that beginners make. And trust me, understanding these could literally save your life. If you're new here, and you love learning practical stuff that actually matters, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. So let's get right into it. The first major mistake that beginners make is not respecting the power of electricity. I know that sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people treat electricity like it's just another utility. Electricity is genuinely dangerous, and it demands respect. We're talking about something that can cause serious injury or even death in seconds. When you're working with electrical systems, you need to understand that every wire, every outlet, and every circuit has the potential to harm you. It's not being paranoid, it's being smart. Here's something that really gets me. So many beginners will touch exposed wires without even thinking about it. They'll assume that if the wire looks fine, it must be fine. But here's the truth, and I want you to really absorb this. Electricity doesn't have a color, a smell, or a taste. You cannot see it. You cannot hear it in most cases. You can only feel it when it's already hurting you. And by then, it's way too late. That's why the very first rule of electrical work is to assume that every wire is live, unless you've personally tested it and verified that it's not. Not your friend tested it, not your uncle said it was fine, you with your own testing equipment. Now, let's talk about the second huge mistake, ignoring proper grounding. This is where things get really interesting, so pay close attention. Grounding is essentially your safety net for electricity. It gives electricity a safe path to travel instead of traveling through you. When you have proper grounding, you're creating a direct route to the earth, and that's incredibly important. But here's what beginners do wrong. They either skip grounding entirely because they think it's unnecessary, or they don't understand how grounding actually works. Think about it this way. Imagine you're standing in a swimming pool during a lightning storm. That's basically what happens when you don't have proper grounding in your electrical system. Electricity is looking for a path to the earth, and if you're not giving it one through proper grounding, it might just find one through you. Proper grounding means installing ground rods, using 3-pronged outlets instead of 2-pronged outlets, and making sure your electrical panel is properly bonded to the earth. This is life-saving stuff. Here's my first question for you, and I want you to pause the video right now and think about this. In your home or workplace, how many outlets do you see that are 3-prong versus 2-prong? Can you tell the difference, and do you understand why that matters? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious about what you'll find. Moving on to mistake number 3, overloading circuits. This is probably the most common mistake I see, and it happens because beginners don't understand the relationship between watts, amps, and circuit capacity. Your circuit breakers aren't just random numbers on a switch. They represent the maximum amount of electrical current that circuit can safely handle. When you exceed that limit, the breaker trips. And when you bypass the breaker, well, that's when fires start. I've seen people use cheap extension cords to power multiple high-draw appliances all at once. I'm talking about things like space heaters, microwaves, and air conditioners running on the same circuit simultaneously. The cord gets hot, the insulation starts to break down, and if you're really unlucky, you get an electrical fire before anyone even notices what's happening. And it's not just extension cords. People will plug too many things into one outlet, and they'll wonder why their breaker keeps tripping. The breaker isn't broken. It's doing its job. It's protecting your home from burning down. Here's the thing about circuits that beginners don't realize. Not every outlet in your home is on the same circuit. Kitchen outlets are usually on a different circuit than bedroom outlets. Bathrooms often have their own dedicated circuit. This is by design. Once you understand this, you start to respect the system. You realize that when you plug something in, you're not just connecting to unlimited power. You're connecting to a specific circuit with a specific capacity. Let me ask you my second question. Do you know how many amps your main circuit breaker can handle? And do you know which circuits in your home power which rooms? Pause and really think about this. Comment down below with what you discover. This knowledge is genuinely important. Mistake number 4 is using damaged cords and cables without replacing them. This one gets overlooked way too often because people think a little damage is no big deal. Maybe the insulation is frayed, maybe there's a small cut, maybe it's been pinched under furniture. You think, well, it still works, so what's the problem? The problem is that damaged insulation means exposed wires, and exposed wires mean shock hazards and fire hazards. When you see damage to a cord, you don't repair it. You replace it. Period. Full stop. I've talked to people who've tried to wrap damaged cords in tape to save money. That is not a fix. That is a disaster waiting to happen. Electrical tape doesn't provide the same level of insulation as the original jacket. It degrades over time. It doesn't handle heat the way proper insulation does. And worst of all, it gives you a false sense of security that the cord is now safe, when it absolutely is not. If a cord is damaged, throw it away and buy a new one. The cost of a new cord is nothing compared to the cost of a fire or a serious injury. Here's something else about damaged cords. Pets and children are attracted to them. A puppy might chew on a damaged cord. These are real scenarios that happen to real families. So inspect your cords regularly. Look for signs of damage. And if you find damage, act immediately. Don't put it off. Don't tell yourself you'll fix it later. Replace it right now. Mistake number 5, and this is a big one: not using proper personal protective equipment when working with electricity. Beginners often think PPE is overkill. They think, I'm just changing an outlet, it's no big deal. But electrical work isn't like painting a room. You can't just undo it if something goes wrong. PPE includes things like insulated gloves, safety glasses, and non-conductive shoes. It means working with insulated tools. It means using voltage testers before you touch anything. These aren't suggestions. These are minimum requirements. Insulated gloves are particularly important because they create a barrier between you and electricity. When you're working on an electrical project, you should always assume that something could go wrong. The circuit breaker might have failed. The wire might be hotter than you expected. Your testing equipment might not have worked correctly. When you're wearing proper PPE, you're protected even if something unexpected happens. Without PPE, you're rolling the dice with your safety. I want to stress something here, because this is genuinely important for your safety. Not all gloves are created equal. You need gloves that are specifically rated for electrical work. They need to meet the proper safety standards. You can't just grab any old pair of gloves and call it good. The same goes for shoes. You need non-conductive footwear that will protect you if you're standing on wet ground while working with electricity. These details matter because your life literally depends on them. And honestly, that's why I love this topic so much. Because understanding electrical safety is understanding how to keep yourself and your family safe. Let me hit you with my third question. What PPE do you currently have if you've ever worked on an electrical project? Do you have insulated gloves? Do you have a voltage tester? Pause the video and think about whether you're actually prepared to work with electricity safely. Comment your answer below. Now let's talk about mistake number 6, forgetting to turn off power at the breaker before working. This is absolutely critical, and yet so many people skip this step. They'll say something like, "Oh, I'm just making a quick change, so I'll just turn off the switch instead of going to the breaker." That's not how this works. When you're working on an electrical outlet or a light fixture, you need to kill the power at the source, which means the breaker. Turning off the switch doesn't actually stop electricity from flowing to the outlet. It just stops the light or device from working, but the power is still there, waiting. Here's why this matters. If you're working on an outlet and you trip the switch, you might think you're safe because the light went off. But someone else in your home could flip the switch back on while you're working, and now you're suddenly in contact with live electricity again. With the breaker off, that can't happen. The breaker is the definitive kill switch. And before you touch anything, you should use a voltage tester to confirm that the power is actually off. You should never assume that flipping a breaker actually worked. Test it, every single time. I know this might sound like overkill, but electrical injuries are not something you want to experience. They're not something you want anyone in your family to experience. So take the extra 30 seconds to go to the breaker panel, turn off the correct breaker, and then test the outlet with a voltage tester. That 30 seconds could be the difference between a normal day and a tragedy. Mistake number 7, is mixing water and electricity without understanding the dangers. Water is an excellent conductor of electricity, which means it makes electricity travel really well, but in all the wrong ways. When water gets into contact with electrical equipment or wires, it creates a direct path for electricity to reach you. That's why you see those warning labels around swimming pools and bathtubs. That's why you're not supposed to use certain electrical devices in wet environments. Beginners often don't think about this carefully enough. They'll use an extension cord in a damp garage or a wet bathroom, and they'll think that as long as the cord is plugged in properly, everything is fine. But water damage to electrical equipment is cumulative. It happens over time, gradually degrading the insulation and the components. One day the equipment works fine. The next day, it's creating an electrical hazard. That's why you need to use ground fault circuit interrupter outlets, which are called GFCIs, in bathrooms and kitchens and any other wet areas. GFCIs detect when electricity is leaking out of the circuit in dangerous ways, and they cut the power immediately. This is actually one area where understanding electrical safety directly prevents disaster. If you've installed a GFCI outlet in your bathroom and someone drops a hairdryer into the tub, that GFCI will cut the power in a fraction of a second. Without it, that person might be seriously injured or worse. These devices are relatively inexpensive, and they're genuinely life-saving. If your home doesn't have GFCI outlets in wet areas, that's something you should address right away. Here's my fourth question for you. Are there GFCI outlets in your bathroom and kitchen? Do you know where they are and how to test them? Pause and check your home right now if you can. Comment below with what you find. This is important information about your own home's safety. Mistake number 8 is improper installation of outlets and switches. I see this a lot with beginners who think they understand how to wire an outlet. They watch a video, they feel confident, and they go for it without really understanding the fundamental principles. The problem is that outlets and switches need to be wired in a specific way. The hot wire needs to go to a specific terminal. The neutral wire needs to go to a different terminal. The ground wire needs to go to the ground terminal. If you mix these up, you create a shock hazard and a fire hazard. There's also the issue of outlet orientation. Outlets should be installed with the ground hole at the bottom, not the top. And when you install an outlet, it needs to be secure and level. It needs to be installed at the proper height. These details might seem minor, but they're part of the building code for a reason. The building code exists because people have learned these lessons the hard way. When you skip these steps, you're essentially saying that you know better than decades of electrical engineering experience. The other thing about improper installation is that it might work fine for a while, and then something goes wrong. Maybe a wire comes loose. Maybe the connections corrode. Maybe the outlet starts to overheat. And by the time you notice a problem, you could have a serious situation on your hands. That's why if you're not confident in your ability to install an outlet correctly, you should call a licensed electrician. That's not a failure on your part. That's wisdom. That's understanding your limitations. Mistake number 9 is not labeling your circuit breaker panel. This might seem like a small thing, but it's actually incredibly important. Your circuit breaker panel shows which breaker controls which circuits in your home. And if it's not labeled, you won't know which breaker to turn off when you need to work on something. So you'll either guess, or you'll turn off the wrong breaker, or you'll skip the step entirely because it's too confusing. None of those are good options. When you label your breaker panel, you're doing two things. First, you're making it easier and safer for yourself to work on electrical stuff. Second, you're making it easier for emergency responders or electricians to understand your system. If there's an electrical fire or some other emergency, people need to be able to quickly identify which breaker controls which area of your home. Labeling your breaker panel is free. It takes maybe an hour, and it could save lives. I actually want to pause here and really emphasize how much I appreciate you watching this content. If you're finding this information valuable, please hit that like button. It helps the algorithm understand that people care about electrical safety content, and it means more videos like this one will reach more people who actually need to see it. Mistake number 10 is not calling a professional when you should. This is probably the most important mistake on this whole list because it encompasses all the others. Beginners often underestimate how complex electrical systems are. They watch a few videos online and they feel like they can tackle any electrical project. But electrical work is regulated for a reason. You need to understand building codes. You need to understand how different systems interact with each other. You need to understand what can go wrong and how to prevent it. There are certain projects that you should absolutely not attempt on your own. Installing a new circuit, upgrading your electrical panel, running conduit through walls, wiring a room from scratch. These are jobs for licensed electricians. Not because electricians want to make money off you, but because your safety and your home's safety depend on these jobs being done correctly. When you hire a licensed electrician, you're getting someone who has years of training and experience. You're getting someone who has insurance in case something goes wrong. You're getting someone who understands the code and will make sure the work is compliant. I know that hiring an electrician costs money, and I understand that's a real constraint, but the cost of an electrician is nothing compared to the cost of a house fire or a serious injury. The cost of an electrician is nothing compared to the cost of having to sell your home because it failed inspection due to improper electrical work. So be honest with yourself about what you can safely do, and be willing to call a professional when you need to. Now, here's my fifth and final question, and I want you to really think about this one. What electrical projects have you attempted on your own? And are you confident that you did it safely?